The cold wind of November brushed against his worn-out jacket as Ayan stood outside the marble gates of the Whitmore mansion. His hands trembled, not from the chill, but from disbelief. He, an ordinary scholarship student who once skipped meals to save for textbooks, was about to marry Margaret Whitmore, a 71-year-old millionaire widow whose name echoed across the newspapers, charity galas, and high society circles of London. But that night, as the golden chandeliers of the Whitmore estate bathed the ballroom in shimmering light, Ayan's life took a turn he could never have imagined. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and that destiny can rewrite any story, then please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support keeps us telling stories that touch hearts. Ayan was 23, a final-year university student majoring in social work. He came from a small village, a place where the walls cracked with time and dreams faded before sunrise. His father was gone, his mother bedridden, and he had taken countless part-time jobs just to survive. Every day was a battle, every night a prayer whispered into the void. Yet despite it all, Ayan's heart had never grown bitter. He believed that kindness had its own quiet strength. He first met Margaret Whitmore in the university library, though at that time, he had no idea who she was. She had come to sponsor a scholarship program for struggling students, and Ayan, exhausted from night shifts, had fallen asleep at a study table beside her. When he woke, he found an elderly woman smiling softly, placing a warm cup of tea in front of him. "You look tired," she had said, her voice gentle yet commanding. A young man with dreams shouldn't look so defeated. That was how it began. What followed were months of conversations about life, art, loss, and faith in humanity. Margaret saw in him something she had lost decades ago, a hunger to make the world better, even when life gave nothing in return. Ayan, on the other hand, saw in her a strange kind of loneliness, buried beneath diamonds and reputation. Her husband had died 20 years ago, and her only son had passed away in a car crash 10 years after that. The mansion, though filled with luxury, was silent. Servants came and went, but no one stayed long enough to understand the woman behind the fortune. One evening, after volunteering at her charity, Margaret told Ayan something that left him stunned. "I want to marry you." The words fell heavy between them. Ayan thought it was a joke, a lonely old woman trying to fill a void. But she wasn't smiling. Her gaze was steady, and her hands didn't tremble. "I don't need your love, Ayan," she continued. "I need your honesty, your compassion, someone I can trust with what's left of my life." Ayan refused at first. He couldn't understand her intentions, nor could he bear the idea of people thinking he married her for money. But she persisted, not with persuasion, but with kindness. "Let me do something good before I go," she said quietly, "and let me help you live the life you deserve." After weeks of sleepless nights, he finally agreed, not for wealth, but because he pitied the loneliness in her eyes. They had a small, private wedding in her garden. No guests, no music, just two hearts, one young and uncertain, the other old and aching, bound by something beyond understanding. The first few days were quiet. Ayan stayed mostly in his room, uncomfortable with the servants' whispers and the curious glances from neighbors. Margaret, despite her age, remained graceful and sharp-minded. She would often sit by the window, watching the rain with a half-smile. Ayan wondered what she thought about, perhaps her late husband, or the life that slipped away too soon. But on the 7th day after their marriage, something changed. It began in the morning when Ayan woke up to find a sealed letter on his bedside table written in Margaret's elegant handwriting. The envelope smelled faintly of lavender, and his name was inscribed with care. He frowned, confused, and opened it slowly. "My dear Ayan," it began, "by the time you read this, I will be gone." A chill ran through him as his eyes darted across the lines. "I never told you this, but I've been ill for a long time. I was not seeking a husband. I was seeking peace. You reminded me of my son, of the goodness I lost faith in long ago. You gave me hope, laughter, and a reason to wake up every morning, even when my body begged to sleep forever." Tears blurred Ayan's vision as he continued reading. "Don't mourn me, my dear. Instead, live. Use what I've left for you not as wealth, but as a weapon for kindness. You are now the heir to everything I own, my home, my charities, my company. But more than that, you are the heir to a promise that goodness still exists in this world." Ayan dropped the letter, his heart pounding. He rushed to her room, calling her name again and again, but the house was too silent. He found her sitting peacefully on her chair, her eyes closed, a faint smile frozen on her lips. She looked like she was merely resting, but her time had ended. He sank to his knees, unable to breathe. The woman who had saved him from despair was gone. The house, once filled with her quiet warmth, now echoed with unbearable emptiness. Days later, when the will was officially read, everyone was shocked. Every penny, every property, and every business share had been transferred to Ayan. The media erupted, calling him a gold digger, a fraud, a scammer. Cameras followed him everywhere. Reporters screamed questions he couldn't answer. He didn't attend any interviews, didn't defend himself. Instead, he stayed in the mansion, replaying every conversation he ever had with her, trying to make sense of why she had chosen him. One night, while sorting through her belongings, Ayan found a hidden drawer in her study desk. Inside were dozens of letters, not to him, but from her late son, written years before his death. In them, her son talked about wanting to help poor students, to build schools, to create opportunities for those who had nothing. Margaret had tried to honor that dream through her charities, but as she grew older, her trust in people had faded. Everyone around her wanted her money, not her mission. Until she met Ayan. She had seen her son's spirit in him, the same fire, the same compassion. He wasn't meant to be her replacement husband, he was meant to be her continuation. Understanding that changed everything. Over the next months, Ayan transformed the Whitmore Foundation. He expanded its reach, opened schools in underprivileged areas, funded hospitals, and started scholarship programs under Margaret's name. For every life he helped, he felt her presence beside him, whispering encouragement. The mansion became a hub of activity again, not for high society parties, but for charity drives, youth meetings, and laughter. Yet, the more he gave, the more people doubted him. Rumors spread that he was wasting the fortune or using it to polish his image. It hurt, but he never defended himself. Margaret had once told him, "Truth doesn't shout, it shines." So he let his work speak. 2 years passed. On the anniversary of her death, Ayan returned to the garden where they had married. The roses she once loved were in full bloom, their petals glowing softly under the moonlight. He stood silently, clutching her last letter, and whispered, "You gave me more than I ever deserved, but I'll spend my life trying to be worthy of it." A gentle wind brushed his face, carrying the faint scent of lavender, and for the first time he felt at peace. He realized that love doesn't always come wrapped in passion or youth. Sometimes it appears quietly, in the form of trust, sacrifice, and redemption. Margaret had given him wealth, but more than that, she had given him purpose, and perhaps that was her final gift. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Every engagement helps us share more real, emotional stories that remind the world of humanity's quiet power. And before you leave, comment below. What would you do if life gave you an unexpected second chance to change someone's world? Morals: sometimes love isn't about age or romance. It's about souls recognizing each other's pain and healing it, even if only for a short while.